Judith Butler is an American philosopher and gender theorist best known for her work in the fields of feminism, queer theory, and cultural theory. Born on February 24, 1956 in Cleveland, Ohio, Butler grew up with a strong interest in philosophy and ethics. She studied at Yale University, where she earned her PhD in philosophy. Butler's writing has explored how identity is shaped by cultural and social norms, particularly in relation to gender and sexuality. Her influential books, such as Gender Trouble and Bodies That Matter, have inspired discussions about how we understand ourselves and others. Butler is currently a professor and continues to write and lecture about the ways in which language, society, and power influence our identities. One of Judith Butler's most famous ideas is that gender is not something people are born with, but something they perform. In her book Gender Trouble, she argues that gender is not a fixed identity or natural trait. Instead, it is something people create through repeated behaviours, actions, and language. For example, wearing certain clothes, speaking in a specific way, or following certain cultural norms are actions that help perform gender. According to Butler, these performances make gender feel real, but they are actually constructed by society. This idea challenges the belief that men and women are naturally different because of biology. Now let's look at another key idea related to identity. Judith Butler also highlights the importance of language in shaping our identities. She explains that words and labels we use to describe ourselves and others can influence how we think about who we are. For instance, when someone is categorized as male or female at birth, that label comes with expectations about how they should behave. Butler suggests that these labels are not neutral, but are part of a larger system of power that defines what is considered normal or acceptable. By questioning these labels, Butler believes we can open up more possibilities for how people can express themselves. Now that we've explored language, let's move to the concept of norms. Another key idea in Judith Butler's work is the concept of social norms and their influence on people's lives. Norms are the unwritten rules about how people are supposed to behave in society. Butler argues that these norms are not natural, but are created and maintained by culture. For example, norms around gender roles, such as the belief that men should be strong and women should be nurturing, are reinforced by families, schools, and media. Butler believes that these norms limit individuality and create pressure for people to conform. She encourages people to question and challenge these norms to make society more inclusive. Next, we'll examine her thoughts on vulnerability and interdependence. Judith Butler emphasizes that humans are deeply interconnected and depend on one another to survive. She explains that people are vulnerable because they rely on others for care, support, and recognition. For example, children need caregivers to provide for their basic needs, and adults often rely on relationships and communities for emotional support. Butler argues that recognizing this shared vulnerability can lead to greater empathy and understanding among people. She believes that instead of focusing on independence, society should value interdependence and work to create systems that support everyone. Now let's explore how Butler views resistance to power. A final key idea in Judith Butler's work is the possibility of resisting power and creating social change. She argues that power structures, like those that enforce strict gender roles, are not unchangeable. People can resist these structures by refusing to conform to them. For instance, someone might challenge traditional gender roles by expressing themselves in ways that don't fit societal expectations. Butler believes that small acts of resistance, such as using different language or creating new cultural practices, can lead to larger changes over time. By questioning what is seen as normal, people can help make society more inclusive. Finally, let's consider some criticisms of her work. While Judith Butler's ideas have been influential, some critics have raised concerns about her theories. One criticism is that her writing style is very complex, making it difficult for some readers to understand her ideas. This has led to the perception that her work is only accessible to academics and not to the general public. Another criticism is that some people believe her focus on language and performance overlooks the importance of biology and physical experiences. Critics argue that while social factors shape identity, biological realities also play a role. Additionally, some scholars feel that her theories about resisting norms do not offer clear guidance on how to create practical changes in society. Despite these criticisms, Butler's work remains an important part of modern philosophy,